Hi friends, welcome to the channel Unshackling Sudokus and Puzzles. Ashish here, and today I'll be covering a puzzle genre called Scrin Puzzle. So this puzzle is featured in recently ongoing contest called Puzzle Ramayana, authored by Nityant Agarwal. Right, so there are many puzzle types, and yesterday we had covered a video on the task square puzzle, which is also in the contest, and today we are covering a new type called Scrin, which is also in the contest. Right, so I would highly recommend you to give the contest. All the puzzles are authored by Nityant, and he is an excellent author and solver too. So I'll add the link in the description below for the contest page, so you can still give the contest. Contest is running for 4 more days. So it's you have a good time to give the contest, right? And now coming on to the puzzle. So a really different puzzle type this is. I really loved solving this puzzle. I have actually solved this Erix Have. There are 2 puzzles actually. So the first one that we are solving is by Erix Have, and the second one is by Euex. Sorry if I am pronouncing it wrong. So yeah, I have already solved Erix Have puzzle. Just to get a gimmick of how the puzzle is. This was the first puzzle that I have solved, Scrin Puzzle. So I had to get used to what the logic is, what are the tips and strategies used to solve this puzzle, right? So I'll be able to explain you some tips and tricks on how to solve this puzzle type. So let's start the puzzle. So let's see what are the rules of this puzzle. So you have to you have to shade some cells. Not shade, or maybe you have to form a rectangle or shade some cells, that is also fine. You have to shade some cells such that each orthogonal connected area of shaded cell is in the shape of a rectangle, right? So for example, you can have a rectangle of this shape or anything, right? So you have to shade some cells in such a way that the area is a rectangle, and the shaded rectangles must all form a single loop through diagonal connections. So what does that mean? For example, you have a rectangle here, here, and here, here. So this is what the rules says. So you have to form rectangles in such a way that all the rectangles are connected to each other using a diagonal connection. So you can see here you have a diagonal connection here for every rectangle, right? And with no branches. So which means that if you have a connection here like this rectangle doesn't have a branch. So the connection is only within 2 rectangles. So this rectangle is connected with only 2 more rectangles, not a third rectangle, right? So you cannot have a branch of in the rectangles, and a cell with the circles must be shaded, and if a circle contains a number, its shaded rectangle must contain the indicated number of cells. So for example, all the numbers are shaded, and if it is a 4, it should have 4 cells shaded. So square is also a rectangle. So this is one of the rectangles here, or maybe this is a rectangle here, this is a rectangle here, anything, but it should have the number of cells that is indicated by the number inside the circle. So right, and with that we'll start solving this puzzle. One more thing in this one more rule is that you cannot have an extra rectangle not used by it, right? So for example, if you have a connection like this, you cannot have a rectangle inside these 4 rectangles. That is not allowed here in this puzzle, right? And with that we'll start solving this puzzle. So which means you have to draw a loop of rectangles. So all these numbers are you will have exactly 8 rectangles here, and all of these 8 rectangles are connected using a loop, diagonal connection, right? So simple, and we should able to start solving this puzzle. One thing I noticed that, so according to the rules, if you see here, one nice trick here is each rectangle will have 2 diagonal connections, right? Each rectangle will have 2 diagonal connections with 2 more rectangles, which means you can never form a rectangle starting with the corner. So this will never be a rectangle. You cannot have a rectangle starting with the corners, right? That is never possible. Sorry, this mouse, I have to change the okay, yeah. So you can never form a rectangle starting from the corner. That is never possible, right? Because the moment you form a rectangle starting from the corner, you will have only one possible diagonal connection in that rectangle. You cannot have a diagonal connection here, you cannot have a diagonal connection here or here. So a rectangle can never be formed from the corner. right? That is one of the excellent tricks here. And as I can see here, 7 can have only two possibilities of rectangles, either horizontal or vertical, and only in one way, straight line, right? And of course we know that you cannot have horizontal because you cannot have orthogonally touching rectangles with other circle. They can only diagonally touch, which means 7 would have to have a vertical line, right? And okay, 7 is the vertical line. It can start from here or here as well. So which means all of these are crosses here, right? All of these are crosses. Okay, now going with the 8 here, again that's nice. Can this be part of an 8? Yeah, that is possible. Okay, I don't remember the solve path now, but yeah, 5 has only one possible way now. This is the way, right? Which means this would have to be the rectangle. Okay, yeah, 5 is only this way, which means there are only two possible connections for this 5, which is this, right? Sorry, these two, and these two cannot touch each other, which means now you cannot touch this because you will form a loop in itself. There is only one single loop of rectangles, which means this would have to come down, and this cannot go towards the left, because the moment it goes towards the left you have only one possible connection, and the other possible connection, diagonal connection, is not valid. So which means this is also okay, done. Come on. This is not working, this mouse. Okay, so this is cross here, and which means this loop will have to go this way. So I cannot have 7 here now. The moment I have 7 here, what will happen is you won't be able to have the, so I mean to explain here is, the loop is starting from the 5, right? The loop is starting from the 5, and both the ends of the loop are this ends, these two ends. So these two ends shouldn't meet and will have to go towards the right. So the moment it goes towards the right, there are only two possible connections, and these two are the connections, right? And which means that yeah, so which means that you already closed the loop here. So this kind of connection is not possible, or maybe let us see some other way to explain you this logic, right? Okay, this is not a connection here, which means this two would have to have connection here, right? And four cannot be horizontal vertical line. It can still be an horizontal line or a square. And okay, I cannot have the one more cell connection here. I cannot have extend this rectangle because you won't be able to take the loop outside, right? There is no possible way to take both the ends of the loop towards the bottom, right? Not possible. So this is a cross here, which means this is a rectangle now. Okay, so 7 goes up, this is a rectangle now. Every rectangle will have a diagonal connection, two diagonal connections. So 7, we have two diagonal connections now. Okay, and this cannot be a connection now, which means this would be a cross because it will either go this way or this way. Okay, and this is a cross here. Okay, so 4 would have to be okay, 4 cannot be a square, I feel so, because there is no way possible that you can have two diagonal connections with the 4. No way possible you can have two diagonal connections with a square. Either you'll have a diagonal connection here that closes the loop here, right? So 4 will be a horizontal connection, and you cannot close the loop now. So which means this would extend. You cannot still close the loop now. So this is a cross. Okay, this will go this way, and this cannot be horizontal or vertical, so it would have to be a square. Okay, have I done anything wrong here? Okay, let us see. Have we done any mistake here? I feel so. What about taking the 4 with the square here? Is that possible? No. Okay, so this closes the loop here. Oh, I'm sorry, this can still have a diagonal collection at the top, so it won't be this, right? Excellent. So this can still have a diagonal connection at the top, and which means this is a cross here, so you cannot have a connection here because that will close the loop. So that means it will have to go towards the top. This is a square now, this is a cross here, and this would be the diagonal connection. You cannot have a, this would have to connect to the 4, so this cannot connect to the 4, and which means these are the crosses, and this is the connection here. This cannot connect to the 2 because that will close the loop. You cannot go with the 8. So this is a cross here, this is a cross here. This will go up. This would have to be a cross here because that will close the loop without using the 8. And now 8 will have diagonal connection at the end, right? So let us see, this will go up, and now there are only one possible way for the 4, and with that we complete this puzzle. So if you see here, quite complex and confusing, but what I meant was, see, if you see here the loop, this is one of the loop here, and the loop is formed using the numbers and rectangles with diagonal connection. So which means you can never have a branch in the a rectangle can never have a branch of 3 rectangles connection, right? And if you see here, this is exactly a loop connecting, and inside you have some cells, and outside also you have some cells. So that is what I meant by a diagonal connection, and with that we will start solving the second puzzle. Quite confusing, but you will always have to look for 2 loop ends will never meet unless you have used all the circles or all the rectangles, right? So that is what the main thing in this puzzle is, right? Now let us go with the second puzzle here by Euex, and all of these are rectangles already. So there is a cross here, right? And of course, so this is one of the logics that I said you, 7, this will never start from, okay, so 7 will cannot be horizontal because what would happen is you won't have enough cells for the 7 to be fulfilled, so it would have to be vertical. But the moment you see that, the vertical will never start from the top cells, from the corner, because that will have only one possible connection for the 7, right? So which means it starts from the second cell, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. This is the minimum that you can go. It's a cross here, okay, and 5 you can have this way or this way, so there are exactly 2 ways. For the 9 you can have 3 into 3, okay, or a horizontal line, that is possible. 2 cannot be towards the right because you will have a diagonal connection at the top and bottom, and 5 won't be fulfilled. That's nice. So 2 cannot be the diagonal connection here, okay. Is this possible for the 5? It's possible. Is this possible for the 5? Still possible, okay. Oh, that is an excellent break-in, guys. Wow, that is awesome. So uh, I see here is you cannot have a vertical line for 5. The moment you have a vertical line for 5, now if you see here, the right part of the grid has two loop ends. This is one of the loop end, this is one of the loop end, which will never meet, and this loop end will come down, this also loop end will come down and meet these circles, right? Now both of these loop ends will have to meet, have to go this way. Not possible, because 9 gets contradicted here. 9 is already a square, 9 is already a rectangle marked, a shaded cell marked, and you can never have two loop ends going at the bottom where you have a middle cell as 9. Not possible, because that will use the 9. So which means 5 will always be vertical here. That is awesome, one of the excellent logics. This is my second puzzle and I am really loving it. So okay, 2 is done now. 2 is done. You'll have a vertical connection here. 8 will have either top. Okay, if 8 has top, 10 should have two ends, two loop ends to be connected, right? Two diagonal connections. One diagonal connection with the will be the 7. What is the second diagonal connection? Not possible, which means 8 would have to be horizontal, and that is the diagonal connection here for the 10. Okay, 10 cannot be a straight 10 lines because you won't have enough space for the 10 to be fulfilled, so it has to be this. Okay, same logic, guys, same logic. So this loop end will meet 7 somehow, either this way or this way, not sure which way, but there are two loop ends, one is 4, one is 7. It will have to go down and meet the other numbers. So 4 can never be vertical, because this loop end will have to meet the 4, so 4 will be a square now. Okay, so this is the connection now. No, even this can be the connection, right? No, if this is the connection, then it won't be proper. So this would have to be the connection, but if this is the connection, then I am breaking it. Oh, still this can be the connection. Wow. Okay, awesome. Let us see. I will just eliminate that both the possibilities logically. 9 cannot be this connection because odd number of cells, and you cannot have 9 cells in a rectangle with 2 cells width, of course. So this is crossed out now. This cell, if it is this cell, 7 will have a loop end here, and both of these cannot go now, right? You will close the loop, so that is also not possible, which means, oh, this is not working, guys. This is not working. I'll have to change the connection here. Okay, so which means 4 would have to be top. That is awesome. So this is crossed out, right? And this is also crossed out. Okay, and 9 would have to be horizontal, right? So these are the minimum cells required for a 9 to be happening. 1 can still be this or this. So let us see that. 6, how can 6 be? Well, it cannot start with this, or it cannot start with this, because again, if you start with this, you won't have exactly two diagonal connections. So which means 6 would have to be 2 cells width, because you cannot have this as well, and you cannot have this and this, right? Okay, which means 6 would have to be 2 cells width, and okay, it can still be this way. Okay, so 3 cannot be vertical, because 6 can be fulfilled. Okay, it cannot go 2 cells up, because then you won't have connection here. So at least 1 cell would come down. Okay, 9 cannot start from here, because then you won't have the 7 and 9 connection possible. So it will go 1 cell towards the right, 9 cannot start from here as well, because the connection with the 6 will not be possible. So one cell here as well, right? So 7 cells are done for 9. 8 cells, okay. Okay, so if you have a 9 towards the right, you won't have the diagonal connection. So only the top cells would be the diagonal connection for 9, if I am right. The okay, bottom cell is, of course, bottom cell is also not possible, because you have 2 cells with here. So one cell would have to go here, and this is the connection for the 7. This is the connection. This is the connection for 9, and this is the connection for the 3. Wow, awesome. What an excellent puzzle this was. I really love the logic with the 5 here. I'm going to create one puzzle of such type, guys. Scrin puzzle, very excellent puzzle. So here we'll have to draw a loop using rectangles. That's a really excellent idea. A different kind of puzzle. This is the second puzzle that I have solved, and I really loved it. So I hope you got all the possible logics that are to be used in a screen puzzle. The first logic was rectangle can never start from the corner. That was the first logic possible. And the second logic is every rectangle will have 2 diagonal connections. So you'll have to look for such connections possible, because at an edge, so if there is a rectangle at the edge, there are exactly 2 connections for the rectangle. You'll have one, this and this, because towards the edge both the connections are already ruled out. So you'll have only 2 connections pending, and both the connections will have to be used. So that is the other logic here. And I think so just you have to make sure that you form the exact correct loop, and don't close the loop ends before using all the circles. That is the most important point that we have seen in both the puzzles. So I hope I'll see the same logic in the puzzle from Nityant Agarwal as well. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Do like and comment if you want us to solve any of the Sudoku variant or a puzzle genre, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Thank you.